I am Smile Bro, and this is Luster.
Hey, I'm Luster.
We, earlier this year, after I put out my last album, almost immediately, I went through like a drought of writing songs, and I think I was on the TF cast actually. And I said that I was writing songs full out on guitar or whatever. So so the week before I was on the cast, we had just wrote this song. And it was because I went into this period where I was terrified of the possibilities of death and what they look like. To sum it up, like an existential crisis that was like crippling to the point of not being able to do anything, or like feel anything or find anything joyful. So I had to figure something out. And we wrote this song right after I started figuring out what my solution is to all of that. So yeah, the song is kind of like that whole, it's like the hero's journey or whatever in a song of like all that stuff that I went through. And it does relate to like what I don't have that whole thing figured out, but like what I believe does revolve around a God. For me, I wanted it to be more ambiguous and less focused on the like details and more of the feelings, because that's all I really have figured out for myself, and that's all the only perspective I can give. So yeah, this song was written on that little guitar, the acoustic, and then we got together and fleshed it out for this album, because this album is all about that period of time where I was figuring everything out. So it's kind of like the summary songs, and I'm very thankful and couldn't have done any of this without this guy. So sorry for the long-winded thing. That was just kind of the gist of
your show.
The back whatever.
Yeah, no, I remember. So I was his roommate, during this time, and we're still roommates now. So I kind of saw all of this like from an outside perspective, right now I'm taking like an existentialism class. That's unrelated to this, but anyway, I've kind of had some similar thoughts like that too. But I just remember watching him kind of like find resources like books and things like during that time. But yeah, I kind of watched his process of like him trying to figure out what that was and like the answers to all that. And I just remember, he like came up to my loft one time and we just like jammed. I had my cone up there and we just like came up with the idea. And before, it was like super acoustic. But then, we've kind of just evolved it over time and it turned into what it was today. So yeah. Fun process.
Was it pretty cool to see it all come together like this?
Yeah, for sure.
Today has been like insane for just looking at it, like the whole idea, because like it didn't really hit me until all these people showed up that I like love so dearly and appreciate all of you so much, because like I think I got insecure today where I was like, I don't know if my idea is like this good, or like my idea is like worthy of these people to like work on it and be pumped about it. But I'm so happy that we were able to do this, and just very thankful for everyone involved and for like believing in me, because I realized that's a big part of this, is that these people in this room wouldn't be here unless they like believed in me. And I like almost want to start crying right now, but I don't want to make this super emotional or like deep back whatever, but that's like a huge thing for me right now, or today, just like looking around and being like, should we make it more lighthearted? I kind of want to
let's just bounce it around.
So with the stuff we heard today, where does it kind of fit into the canon of the stuff we've already heard for the people who have heard the last couple albums?
So this is kind of like I said, the summary of this next album. It's called Love, Fear, and Peace Throughout. And this is like part of, I painted this for the album cover. I thought this was going to be the album cover, but then it's overlaid on a photo. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Actually, it's an interesting way to get sidetracked the way you just did, because I think maybe for some people there could be some additional context added for how you often have multimedia projects or more than one thing that's going into it, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to see from like just the Spotify angle. Maybe you could just apply some context to that for people.
Yeah, I fully understand that like single pushing is kind of the way to go for music, but for me, I've always been able to either capture periods of time in my life or just like a theme together where it's just like, oh, this makes sense. Like this has to go together. Like it doesn't matter if it does better or it does worse or whatever. It's just, this is what it is. And I'd be pumped for somebody to find this as like a collective piece. So this is the second official album. And when I do the music, I also like want the visual to feel like that. And I'm also a visual artist in so many ways. So for the last album, it was very like that blue color that is like my favorite color or whatever. And for this one, it kind of turned to black and white because that's what the whole thing felt like. And painting actually was one of the things that I could get away from music and all the other versions of art and still express myself without stressing about it. So that's how this thing happened.
Is the upcoming album more of a collaboration, or is it is this kind of like a performance venture working on this song together where it's wrapped up in these two songs or in this video, or is it going to be a lot of luster in the group too?
I'm trying to think of all the songs that are on it. I think a lot of them might have been by myself, but not intentionally, because I love making music with Luster and our Ark, Abby, and Willis, and my friends. But I think because it was so self-explorative, the whole project, it kind of forced me to make it by myself. And this album, I've said a lot to my friends recently, or like in the last couple months, that's kind of self-deprecating, but kind of not. It's like I'm pumped about this album, but I'm not at the same time, because I don't know how to say this, but I don't think it's going to get received well. Like it's all over the place, and I don't know. It's just not as polished as the other things. Which frustrates me. But I think that the stories that I tell in the songs, I feel obligated to like put out. And I don't know if that's a me thing or what, but they all fit the project. So they're not perfect, but that's kind of like what I wanted this album to be, is like the last not perfect thing. There'll never be a perfect, but I don't know, a last rough thing before I try to clean it up or something. But we'll see if I follow through on that, because I keep saying that, I guess.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So, Jared, we've talked in a lot of our conversations about live performances. It's a real challenge to figure out like how you're going to represent your music to the world. Like, how did you come to land with this representation, like your instrumentation, and also how you designed it?
A lot of my music has been electronic and all over the place and messed up to the point where I could hardly play it live without just doing a backing track and singing. So this song we wrote with the intention of playing it live. Mm-hmm. So this song, the full version, didn't happen until today. Like it wasn't nailed in, because we were like, oh, I want to like play guitar for this part and not sing. So the whole thing was like I got these pedals just so I could write this song and like play it. So like
Yeah.
we've never done this, and this is like wouldn't work for a lot of my songs, but I wanted for some part of me has wanted to prove that I'm like a validated artist in my own eyes or something, that I'm like a competent singer and a competent musician that can do the thing that I thought musicians were supposed to do when I was younger. And a side note from that, we talked about it, but I often tell people how I got into music was that I couldn't find a band, so I had to do everything myself. And so yesterday we talked about, I think it was yesterday, where it was like, I just took a moment and I was like, this is like a band. Like we were doing that thing. And it was just like the dream thing like popped up after it had been like my soapbox or something, or stepping stone. That song that I like, that we go downstairs for, that we did in one take. That song I wrote for the last month. I've been like, we just need to record this song so I can put out this album and get it over with. And it's just taken so long that in the process of finishing this song and getting to the point of recording, I accidentally like had no pressure to like write another song for this album. So I like wrote that on the piano one day, where it just like came out, and I didn't really have any meaning as I was writing it, but like, not saying it didn't have any meaning, but like everything that I said, I felt, and I don't know how to describe that in another way. It just like, I threw it up, and it perfectly like described another part of or version of the thing that is this song. Yeah.
What does it feel like to really crush a live set?
I don't know. It's really exciting. I guess I thought it would make me feel more like a musician or something, but it was just like a different version of the thing that I was doing before, and I'm pumped about it, and nothing's ever going to be perfect, so, and I love it for everything that it is. And yeah. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good about our performance, and I guess I've played in bands before, but it's like kind of the standard, 4-piece band doing like rock tunes or whatever. But this was like something I've never really done before, so that was pretty sweet. And yeah, it kind of a point I was going to make earlier was like the creation of these two songs have been like very heavily based on like our surroundings. Like for instance, like the song with the piano, like we picked up this piano for free, and like it just kind of came about because it was like, oh, we have access to this piano now. So like I've been playing it more, Jared's been playing it more, and like if we didn't pick up that piano, we weren't in this space right now, like wouldn't have happened. So that's pretty cool. But just like, I mean, kind of same concept with this like 2-piece thing. It's like, we've been creating this music, like I would say sort of separately, kind of doing our own things, but like we've been around each other long enough now, and we're like, I don't know, starting to like, collaborate more and do that kind of thing. So I think we crushed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool.
Yeah,
Cool
that
to
is
see.
like a note that I guess we didn't mention, is that we're currently in my bedroom.
It feels like a transitional piece, like a birth of something, or a experimental phase. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Some of your previous styles go deep into the electronic and the pushing some kind of experimental sounds, but you opted for a much more classic sound in this tune. Was it kind of just the way that things came together, or did you decide intentionally that that's a direction you wanted to go?
I was like, will this still sound like abstract? Like if I put this pedal into this pedal, you're not supposed to do that, because I will definitely do it then, or like something like that. So I did that. Not that it like made a huge difference, but through this whole process, it's also showed me that I've found more and more the importance of the story in the song, and that I love songs that are so experimental that satisfies me, and the story satisfies me. There are songs that satisfy one of them, and then there's some minimal songs. What I'm trying to say is, like, because we wrote this on the guitar, we wrote it all the way through, and it had to get interesting with different guitar parts. So when we brought different effects into it, we were just like, how do we not get bored? So every part kind of happens twice, but it never sounds the same. And that was very intentional. Mm-hmm. So I tried to get as weird as I could with the limitations, which was fun.
Yeah, and well, I was just gonna say, even though like this, it's a more classical kind of take on, you know, creating music, like using, you know, the guitar and like all that, playing like acoustic drums. I think it still has like a similar kind of feel to some of the stuff you've written, like your electronic stuff, where it's got like just the up and down. I mean, I guess that's kind of a lyric in the song too for the song, but like it still has like that Smile Bro kind of feel and approach, which I think is really cool. Like the point he was making, like, you know, getting these pedals for sure. I think you're inspired. Like when we went to the guitar store, he was like, I'm diving into the physical plug-in world. It's kind of scary or something like that. But yeah, so he's, you know, getting into this, like, you know, pedal world and learning what that looks like. And yeah, it's a similar approach to like how you know, usually work with your electronic stuff.
And I also want to be able to like play stuff like that. Like we could play this somewhere, and that's sick. Mm-hmm. Do you want to know how many pedals I used on the pedal board? It's 4 out of 9, but I got all of them for this song. So I think that just makes me look dumb, but or bad with money. Not dumb, just bad. Not bad with money. The song turned out how it did. Whatever. Sorry, I'm talking to myself right now.
You're experimenting with new things.
I realized that kicking pedals is not very smooth.
I'm glad that Andrew, you mentioned the dynamics of Jared's music. Like it was an exciting way to see that in this form too. Like I was doing the lights alongside it, and I had some great like rhythmic changes and like energy changes too to work with that. So that was kind of neat and super representative of a lot of your like electronic stuff too. So it's fun to see that carry over.
I just get bored really easily.